Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is you might be watching this out there in the World Wide Web. My name is Mark Curran. I'm here with my good friend and co-producer Stephen Gray of Spirit Plant Medicine Conference and the Spirit Plant Medicine work we do here at Conscious Living Network. And today, well, it's Saturday morning here in Vancouver. It's a beautiful day. The sun's starting to come out. And Stephen and I, it's kind of been a while since we've been on here and talking to everybody. So we thought we'd connect and say hello. And during these times, we've kind of put together a few things that might be of interest to give you guys some things to do while we're, kind of hanging out at home. Stephen, how are you there at home in your office?
I'm fine. Yeah, hanging in there. Actually, I'm feeling, well, there's a bit of an edge in the air around the planet these days, but and everyone's feeling feeling it in a different way. For the most part, apart from a little bickering occasionally with my wife, I'm feeling, I'm feeling impassioned, I suppose you could say, because one doesn't know. There's no way to know, but this has been predicted on one level or another for a very long time. Not necessarily this exact one. Like I'll just say it like this. I know we're here to talk about what we're going to do next Saturday, but I'll just, this is interesting anyway, I think.
Well, hey, we're here.
Um,
It's been a while. There's so much we could talk about, Stephen. So let's just kind of go with the flow.
okay, I'll go with my flow for a minute.
Of course, follow, as Stephen would say, we're going to follow the golden thread.
Okay, so the golden thread is suggesting that I suggest, or I mention that for at least 500 years, indigenous people and others have had prophecies about this time, whether what exactly this time means, but around now, and then intuition and common sense have been telling a lot of people that the system that's running the world right now is headed for a wall, or a cliff or something like that, sooner or later, whether that be a slow demise or a sudden like this or whatever. It's not sustainable. People know that, some people know it, completely consciously. Some people know it semi-consciously, and some people just are feeling that somehow without even knowing it consciously. So this particular situation could be one of several different versions of that. It could be the gods, if you will, letting us down gently, like saying, "Okay, guys, you cannot keep doing this anymore. So here's the first, nudge, so to speak. In other words, you know, there may be a couple of 100,000 deaths out of this. Every single one of those matters, of course, but on the larger picture, it could, if in fact the curves flatten over the next few weeks and kind of come down again, this could be like the wake up call without the complete crusher blow, right?
Hmm.
Or it could be the big one. It could be the one that gradually crumbles the whole edifice of the world economic structure the way it is. But the key thing is right now for me anyway, and I think for a lot of people, is that there's an opening. It's like that Leonard Cohen song. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And I've been told that by native elders as well, that there will come a moment in the course of human affairs when there's enough of a gap, enough of uncertainty, enough of a crumbling of the existing system that there will be an opening for a new vision. So that's what's exciting me these days, is that possibility that if that in fact is happening, as you and I were just talking about Jamie Wheel before we went live here, and Jamie Wheel is talking about that as well, is that if in fact that is happening, then people who are in positions where they can influence others, as he calls them, leaders, need to look after themselves, need to hold that vision and contribute. Okay, so again, that's what's kind of moving me these days is um, uh, there's going to be, if in fact this continues to get worse, if this is in fact the big one, and perhaps even if it isn't the big one, so to speak, I suspect the economy may never be the same again. It's going to take minimum of years to come out of this, economically speaking. But the biggest hope is that there be a lot of rethinking. We have this kind of gap right now, And if people can do some reconfiguring, some slowing down, there's a gap going on right now, which is really interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is some of the things I've been talking about on my videos. First off, I'd like to invite our viewers as you're watching, pop in the comment screens, tell us where you're from, and if you have any questions, anything you'd like to talk about, because you can always kind of jump in and say hello too. We've got the technology to do so. But yeah,
Yeah.
throw it in the comment box. We'd like to see who's here and be able to say hello and connect with you guys as well directly. But I totally agree with you, Stephen. And in these times, there is great opportunity, and that's what I want to inspire people to take a look at. And yes, the economic situation is not great. It's certainly something we've never seen. I saw this great thing. I've really been enjoying Patrick Bet Davis's work lately. I never really knew who he was before, but he's had some great interviews, and he was talking to Kiyosaki about it, Robert Kiyosaki, A Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it was just a great video. If you find it on YouTube, fantastic. What he had to say was really quite eye-opening, and just really talking about what's happening there. But what was most important is he said, this is the time to make things happen, to be resourceful, to get creative. And as you were saying, go within. Let's take time to nourish our body, mind, our spirit, so that when things go back to a new normal or whatever it's going to go to, that we're ready for it. Right. And it's not like a great big
Absolutely.
surprise. And Jamie
Yeah.
Wheel, like just before we got on here, when you're talking Jamie Wheel, we did that thing on March 8th. I'm just sharing the link in the comments here on Facebook for that video of what he was talking, because you said he was so far ahead of the curve. What he was telling us on March 8th, we're kind of seeing now, right?
More than kind of. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So hello to, I see there are three people are indicating that they've joined us there. That's nice. Hello to you folks there. Um, yeah. So maybe I just would like to emphasize this one point again, which is that anyone who is capable, this is a,
We have
so,
Jono. Jono's saying hello. Cheney's saying hello. Chasey Creamer,
uh-huh.
hello. Rhonda Raven from Costa Rica. Cheney's in Burnaby, and I think Jono's in the Kootenay. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and watching and chiming in. Appreciate that. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Stephen. Sorry.
Okay. No, yeah, no worries. So
Well, I
again,
just like to acknowledge who's watching, right?
yeah, hello again. I hope, yeah, those of you who have just joined us. um, so yeah, I just want to emphasize this one point. This is a time when the spiritual warrior within us is being called. Those of us who are capable of looking after ourselves, holding our seats, as they say in Buddhist and other teachings, like holding your space, being a rock for other people. This perhaps already is necessary, but it's also going to be likely become much more necessary, because what's going to happen if this unraveling, or as Paul Gilding in his book The Great Disruption called it, the Great Disruption is what he called it, then there are going to be a huge number of people who don't understand or don't have any inkling that this could be a necessary death and rebirth for a new world that is much more sane. If you don't have at least some kind of even tentative faith that that's possible, you're very possibly going to be totally freaked out in these times to come, and therefore anyone who can have some of that tentative faith in where we could be going with this into a better world needs to be strong and helping other people. The that's the theme of Jamie Wheel and others and myself and many other people actually. I'm
Yeah,
finished
well,
speaking.
I was just like, did my sound go off? What happened there? Well, I've been catching up on, because I don't watch the news, read the paper. I kind
Uh-huh.
of really like to live in the present. And yeah, I'm fairly aware of what's going on in the world because people talk
Uh-huh.
about what's important. Um,
Yeah.
but what I find fascinating is all the conspiracy theories coming up, and everybody talking about QAnon and the dark
Mm-hmm.
web, and
Mm-hmm.
what's happening with the dark deep state and all of these things. And you're starting to see all these coincidences pop
Mm-hmm.
up that really make you wonder. And what I find really fascinating as well is I did had a conversation with Arai Beckman last week, he and I are doing some work on these really cool nootropics, which just as a side, not as a plug, but it's really quite an interesting. It's a hemp CBD based nootropic that he got from Emery Smith. Anyways, that's why I connected with him. But he turned me on to all this QAnon stuff, and we did a 2.5 hour talk online. And the amount of shares, the amount of people connected, engaged, and watching while we were, broadcasting live too, was really quite amazing to me to see the interest in this, because people are looking for certainty in uncertain times. They're looking to make sense of what's not making sense right now. And I haven't seen the world this quiet in my lifetime.
Yeah. Well, I think Terence McKenna said the problem with a lot of people is they, or the thing that we need to do is get ourselves out of the mode where we need resolution, where we need certainty, and live in the unresolved, live in what Buddhists call the don't know mind. And that's why, regardless of the veracity of these claims of the cabal and the conspiracy of the secret people doing this, et cetera, et cetera. There's no way we're ever going to prove it. Nobody's got a list of names that they're sharing, and I don't personally think it's that helpful right now, because again, what are you going to do about it? This is just my opinion. What needs to, in my view, what needs to be done is to keep one's eyes on the prize, which is the potential for some change, for some healing, and whether or not the nasty people generated this thing or not is irrelevant to that. The thing is, there's a gap now, and there's been as I said earlier, there's been prophecies and predictions and intuitions and common sense coming at us for a very long time, that this world cannot keep going this way. So whatever the source, whatever the cause, it needs everybody who can to step forward, look after themselves, ground themselves, stay as calm as possible, not buy into fear. If these theories about who generated this thing cause you to be fearful, that's not helpful at all right now. We don't need more fear. We need more. We need more. More solid, grounded, relaxed, open-hearted energy.
Yeah, and as we said, take some time to go in, create a plan, get ready for what's next. Me, that's.
Yeah, somebody just wrote in, mind the gap.
Yeah, no, that's
exactly. Thanks. Good one.
Exactly. A big part of it. Now, just last thing I'll say about all this other crazy stuff out there. I had a conversation with one of our homies yesterday, and I says it's the new virtual reality, because you talk about the power of visualization, how it makes it real for you.
Yes.
People are so engaged or diving into this that they're making it real, and they don't even need the virtual reality goggles anymore, because we're making it real, talking about it, and it's like a real life Hollywood movie playing out in your mind that's not even really real, or is it?
Well,
anyway,
that's the whole planetary material existence is a movie anyway.
Oh yeah.
It's an ongoing movie. It's the best movie that's ever happened and ever will happen. And part of what makes it the best movie is that there's no formula. Like, we don't actually know the ending. Nobody could say, well, the script is written. By the time you get to the end of season 3, we'll have the everything will be wrapped up. All the bad guys will be in jail and everything like that.
I know, because if it's not, sorry, go ahead. But it's like, if it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not, COVID or 5G or QAnon and what is it? And will we ever really know the truth? Who's really to say? But what I do know is it's going to be interesting to see what happens as time goes on.
Yeah.
And this is why we've done some things, because how long have you been staying at home, social distancing and things, Stephen?
Yeah, pretty much. Let me just throw in, a little levity just for the fun of it.
Well, isn't that what levity's for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, as the great spokesman for the sort of charity group Seva, and a major player in the hippie days, et cetera, Wavy Gravy once said, "If you can't laugh about it, it's just not funny." So I really like New Yorker cartoons. They're very witty. They're kind of like surrealist poetry or something a lot of the time. And there's one recent one, and like about a week ago, was a couple, I guess, sitting at a table, like in their kitchen. One of the people has got the laptop top open, and the other one says to the other, "So did you mean the new normal of an hour ago, or the new normal of right now?" So yeah, things are changing rapidly.
Oh, I
Um,
know.
yeah, no, I've been I don't know, I've been pretty much doing it. I don't know, I could be.
Got enough toilet paper for all the bullshit out there?
I got. I'm gonna have a clean bum for months to come, man. I'm covered. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
No. I'm gonna confess to an extremely minor crime now.
Uh-oh.
We had to go help my dad down in Florida, get him back to Canada, and we got back on March 18th. So we had 2 weeks of self quarantining, and strictly speaking, we were not supposed to go out at all. But I was out on my bicycle every day, riding and getting some exercise. But I kept well more than 6 feet away or 2 meters away from everybody. So I don't consider that dangerous behavior in the least. But
No.
strictly speaking, I was probably contravening the demands. So now I've finished my 2 weeks, and the only thing I've done so far, basically, is my wife and I went to Costco and loaded up on goodies for a while.
There's lots of food, just no toilet paper. I don't know.
Oh no,
What? Oh, when I went, there was no toilet
oh
paper.
no, they
I
got
just.
loads of it now.
Oh, really?
Oh
Well,
yeah, it's sitting on about a dozen pallets in one of the aisles. Like you go down at the one downtown here, by
yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah. You go down the main aisle away from the entrance, like toward the back, and then they have on the left, like where the TVs are. There are these side aisles,
Yeah.
and they've got them roped off with like police tape, and they've got a person standing on the other side of that tape, and they've got almost a whole aisle of toilet paper, and then the next one is paper towels.
I
Anyway,
don't. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I personally, I don't want to take too much of
No,
people's precious time.
no, either do I. But it was just a funny conversation. So let's
Yeah.
talk about what we've kind of come up with while people are sitting at home, because it's kind of been a while. Everybody's been laying low, waiting to see what's going on. And
Yeah.
you and I had a couple of ideas to reach the people, share
Yes.
with them some good stuff.
Uh-huh. So we were going to do what we called level 2 with the cannabis ceremonies and have an all-day one on Saturday the 18th, is it? I think
We
it was,
were, yeah.
yeah. And because of the current situation, we're not doing that kind of face-to-face situation right now. But I feel anyway, and it's not scientifically provable, but I think my view right now is that cannabis has it always does have an important role to play when it's used effectively or skillfully, rather than, it using you, so to speak, where you're so seduced and addicted to it, so to speak, psychologically, that you're using it too much or just as an escapist tool. But when you're using it as a way to be more present, more calm, more open, and in fact even go deeper in your practice, then I think it has an even more important role to play during the time of COVID-19 than it otherwise would. It's like it's come closer. It's here as an ally, kindly bent to ease us, you might say. And that's why we're doing this. So on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 11th at 7:30 to 9:30, it's going to be a 2-hour online ceremony, I'll call it. And it'll be very similar for anyone who's watching this, who's done one of these with me before. It'll be very similar in format to these shorter versions of these ones that we do, where I'll set up in front of the camera with a good microphone that Mark has, and I'll have
This
my
one right here is
various.
the Yeti Blue. This is what I do all my broadcasts and things like that. It's what they all use. A couple $100. It's
Yeah.
a great microphone if anybody's looking.
Yes, and I hope you get a cut on that. No, anyway, so I'll have my crystal bowls and my various other sound instruments and my guitar and all these things, and if we were doing it face to face, I would provide the medicine generally, and I would have carefully titrated it, so to speak, field tested it on myself to make sure we have a good, uplifting, expansive, clear, organic, lovingly grown medicine. So I don't get to control that this time, but we're asking people in the information we're sending out that want to do this with us is to make sure they have some really good medicine that way, and if it's new to them, to test it out ahead of time. just to see what the dosage is, what the potency is. And if you're sensitive, because this is one of the I guess it's a meme you maybe call it's going around these days among certain people that are involved with these medicines, is that they're sensitized right now and the effects of them are stronger. They're finding their effects stronger than normal. So if you have not done cannabis for a while, and if you're sensitive at all, you may want to be careful with the dosage. But nonetheless, we're asking people to have their space prepared, nice, comfortable, quiet, undisturbed environment. Maybe do some nice things, even put out a little mesa in front of them if they want.
Some
And
candles, some
yeah,
incense.
whatever works for them. And
Mhm.
then have some really good medicine handy, flower, ideally, if possible, and be ready to light up, whether it's a vaporizer or a joint or a pipe, at the same time together. I'll do it too. You'll do it too, I guess.
Yep.
And then the next hour and a half or so, the first 10 minutes will be a little bit of instruction and guidance, and then about an hour and a half or so of actual practice where I guide people with sound healing, guided meditations, a bit of visualization practice, with little sort of 2 to 3 minute silent gaps in between, so we can keep coming back to the well, as it were. And by the way, if anyone's watching this, and you'll see this in the information anyway, but if you don't want to smoke or vaporize, and you want to take it orally in one fashion or another, we would recommend that you do that an hour before the 7:30 start time, because it'll take up to an hour and a half, or even slightly longer if you have eaten just before that, for that to reach its peak. So maybe even a little more than an hour. But anyway, that's what we're doing. And just one other thing, as you like to joke, Mark, hard to get cannabis lovers to take a break if they're the kind of people that like to do it every day. But
Especially now, right?
yeah, well, as I like to suggest, I always suggest to people that if it's possible for doing this, especially if you want to go deeper with us, if you just want to have a little bit of calming, you don't even have to, take any cannabis to do this with us, of course. It still could be quite useful to just spend an hour and a half to 2 hours doing some, kind of connection and calming practices together. That's valuable for anybody, anytime, especially these days. Um, but if you want to go a little deeper with us, then you know, good to take a break for, if you can at all, take a break for 2, 3, or even more days prior, so that your endocannabinoid receptors have reset and are ready to go. Yay! I can handle this, and we're going to go deep and clear and sharp.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that's
Well,
the
and it's
plan.
gonna be a fun little experiment too, right? We're working with some technology. We're gonna use a private Zoom
Uh-huh.
room. We're gonna have all of that. Um, excuse me. Um, really ready to go, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the exciting thing for me is, these are when we talk about interesting times. How do we do things differently? And this is one of the ways that we're, looking to be able to provide something for people in these times when they might be getting a little restless in their homes. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I look forward to the open-minded folks who are going to come and join us. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, you say, a little restless and all that. There's that, of course,
Well,
and
some folks
things to
are.
do.
Some
Oh yeah,
folks
no,
are.
no, I agree. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just wanted to add that from my point of view, the most, the greatest value of doing something like this is to work with our energy, work with our mindset, because the stories that can get cooked up in the brain can be terrifying, really.
Hmm.
And so to use cannabis as an energy medicine, as a healer that works with the body that way, I think can be very valuable right now. That if you can breathe, stay present, try to get out of your head as much as possible with it, rather than just using it as a kind of an escape. I mean, I don't know how that works for anyone in particular. That's it's a free world, but I think the greatest value, the greatest change or healing value that can come from using cannabis at this time is to do things like this, where you sort of, as Terence McKenna used to say, sit down, shut up, and pay attention. Although it doesn't
Mm.
literally have to be sitting down necessarily, but as much as possible, calming the mind and letting this plant do its work when we're fully present with it. And that's not a theory. That's based on many years of experience. That when I get out of my head and leave a gap, especially with good, uplifting, expansive medicine, it's like you just settle into this really, beautiful space that feels real. It doesn't feel like you've been altered by a drug in a sense. It just feels like you entered into the sort of divine reality more, a place of more peace, more calmness, more open-heartedness, more clarity even.
Yeah. No, I agree. And right now, I think it's an important time for that work. This, when we talk about going within and really kind of, doing some work as we're going through whatever's happening for anybody and wherever they are in their lives right now, that,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of work, the meditation, and if you do some yoga and have a personal practice, and it's just really profound. And, you always blew my mind when I started sitting in ceremony with you in terms of, um, the power of cannabis as a spiritual ally. So I think it's a really profound time to really tune into that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of maybe just using it, let's really respect her in a different way and take some time out for that. And it's great to
Yeah.
clear your mind. That 3-4 day fast is always a great thing if you're a regular smoker, to just kind of reset and recharge and kind of clear yourself, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Just on that note, if I may, then pile on, so to speak.
Yeah.
um, uh, again, it's not for me to judge, how anyone would use cannabis. It's the people's medicine, and anyone over a certain age is responsible for themselves anyway. Whether something is beneficial for you in the long run or not. But I agree with you on that one, Mark. That people don't realize. I don't do this. I mean, maybe I did this in my 20s for a while, but basically, I think even people don't really realize it especially if they're smoking several times a day, it just becomes your new normal. You don't go into those deeper, sharper, clearer places really. It's more like just a palliative medicine at that point. And I'm not, as I said, not judging that. Everyone's, it's up to you what you do with it and how that works for you to examine yourself if necessary. But it just becomes, as I say, the new normal, and that 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 may mitigate the wonders that some of the wonders that may be possible with this plant. A well-known psychotherapist said that when his clients come to him and they're not sure, but they're wondering whether their cannabis use is, very smart or not, or skillful and functional at that particular time, he suggests they take a couple of months off, like
Mm-hmm.
just go cold turkey for about 2 months or so, and just see what that's like. And then if they feel like no big deal, come back to it again and see what that's like. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of this plant is it's potentially highly psychologically addictive, but it's not physically addictive to any meaningful amount, and so it's safe to do that kind of experimenting with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I'm looking at starting a little bit of a cleanse actually on Monday. Maybe start with a
Hmm.
water fast. When I start thinking about that, I'm looking at Saturday coming up, and just a really great time to take care
Hmm.
of some things I've been kind of putting off. It's been nice kind of hanging around home, and working with cannabis in that sense is just it's I can speak for myself. I've been a cannabis user for good part of my life, and it's nice to take those breaks and really reset and recharge, and come back on Saturday in a different place. So I look forward to that. Um,
Yeah.
Now,
Cool.
hey Stephen, we've got some other cool things I want to share with our anybody who's watching today, because we've got some cool stuff going on. Um, I just wanted to say that we are also releasing a 3-month spirit plant medicine opportunity as well for people sitting in there, part of our membership. Um, we've got 9 years of videos in there. It's a little video vault. We just can um, put it out there for $20. You get it for 3 months. You've got like probably over 100 videos in there now, I think. And it's just a great opportunity to get caught up on some research and some information in the plant medicine world if you're interested in that. It's something we just kind of got going this week. So we put that together for you guys, for anybody who wants to take advantage of that. It's really a great deal, and there's a lot of great stuff in there. There's 2 years of live stream from our past conferences, a lot of bonus materials and interviews in there. And then there's, the past years of all the presentations over time as well. So it's just something that we want to, share with everybody, our community, and have an opportunity to catch up on some really, great presentations from past years, and keep yourself informed. I think it's an important time to take advantage of the time that we have to learn and educate ourselves, and that's something we were able to whip up together that way. So I'm going to throw the link there in the comments as well. You can check it out. And we kind of called it our COVID-19 special, just because, that's really what it is. Not that we want to attach attention to it, but it's there. You can sign up there. It's a 3-month membership. Check it out. But I'm sure you'll love it. And that's just one of the things. And then our friends at Dosed just announced, like, the Dosed movie, right, Stephen?
Oh yeah, I've seen it twice.
Yeah. So now they have just announced that they are now available on video on demand. So we can actually go watch Dosed online, and you can rent it. I think it's like $6 US to rent, and you get it for 24 hours, or you can buy it. I'm not sure exactly how much it is, but I'm going to throw the link in here too as well. And if you grab it here, they're giving you 10% off if you use this link as well. So, so what's that? That's, 10% on American dollars is like $1 million, I think, these days. Maybe next week it won't be worth anything, but who knows? But those are a couple of offers that we put together, and I put together a little thing too. I don't know if you saw it, Stephen. I had a little program I was put together a while back called Coach Yourself Right Now. I decided to put together 4 weeks every Monday night. It's only $10 because I don't want money or anything to get in the way of anybody else, but I also believe it's important to have some skin in the game. And what we're going to do
for each one, or for the whole thing?
$10 for the whole month.
That's peanuts. That's less
I know,
than peanuts.
it's nothing, but you know what? While I'm eating peanuts at home, because I don't know who's making any money right now. That just got some cost to cover in terms of even just broadcasting in the back end. But I just want to put it out there. It's $10. Hey, I've done a lot of great work. I've been part of the Tony Robbins world for 13 years. I've been studying personal development and growth for, I can't tell you how long. I've, strategic intervention is really, kind of one of my, expertise in terms of what I've studied in that way. But, I've got a lot of great skills and tools that I've learned, and I just want to share them with people so that they can navigate these times in a great way and come out of it at the end of April, maybe with some tools to, just have a better everyday life, no matter where you are, no matter what's going on. So when chaos is happening around you, I want you to be calm, cool, peaceful, and ready.
Right on.
Right. So it's only $10, and it's going to be a weekly thing. And I'm looking at doing something longer term, because I was actually asked to make a TV show for a weekly program for a Indian TV channel and website. So I'm going to start looking at creating some material for that, where we have an opportunity to share. And here's one thing that was really interesting when they asked me to do this program, is they were interested in a lot of the plant medicine work that we're doing, because over there in India, they don't know a lot about it. So I thought that was a really interesting thing that they had thrown in there when we were discussing it. So lots of great stuff coming down the pipe. I just, and that's not a pardon the pun, because we're talking about a cannabis ceremony too, Stephen. So, that's kind of what's going on for me. I got a planter box to build. I got 4 yards of soil coming tomorrow. We're starting some veggie gardens and everything in the back, and really taking advantage of this time to take care of ourselves, take care of each other, and enjoy what is. Because in my present, if I'm going to live in the moment and live in the present, everything's cool around me, man.
Yeah, good. Yeah, right. And by the way, in terms of what you were saying about your, tiny little $10 charge for 4 sessions, this, coaching thing, we're taking the same approach about the cannabis online ceremony this weekend as well. We're just charging a nominal fee of $10. And if you really are totally flat broke, then you just need to email support@consciousliving.network.net, and Mark will accommodate you
Yeah, we'll
promptly and
take care of
correct
you.
with that.
If we don't want anything here, money to be a hindrance. We don't want it to
Mhm.
be anything that holds anybody back. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff in the next month. Everything's going to be like $10 and free, and I've got a whole bunch of cool stuff. That I've been talking to people, like lots of good stuff happening, some creative imaginations going right now, so that we can get things out to people in a good way and make it affordable, because we know that a lot of people aren't, nobody's spending money, nobody's making money.
Mhm.
It's really tight, so we want to just make sure we're taking care of our community. That's the most important thing for us.
Absolutely. And this might be a bit of a trigger. This whole notion of what you just said might be a bit of a trigger to move toward the kind of economy that's going to be the only way that this planet is going to thrive and survive and thrive in the future anyway,
Mhm.
which is a kind of a mutually beneficial attitude rather than take, take, take. Like
Barter
those
and
people that
barter.
barter.
Let's
That
go. Let's go back to barter. What can we trade?
Yeah,
I traded.
absolutely.
I traded a consulting session for a great massage one afternoon.
Hmm. Yeah, there
It's
may be
like,
a lot more of that.
you know.
What some people call the gift economy or the sharing economy, or what
Mhm.
Charles Eisenstein in his very interesting book calls sacred economy. Anyway, I have another call that I want to get on to, Mark. So
Sounds
if
good.
it's okay with
And
you,
so,
I'll.
so much for 10 minutes, eh, Stephen?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, 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 yeah. No worries, mate.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you everybody for watching and checking this out. We wish you love, peace, joy, bliss. Make the best of this opportunity for yourselves, for others,
Hmm.
and really just share joy and love and peace and compassion, empathy, all that great stuff, because really we're here.
Yeah, and maybe I could leave you with this one. Um, uh, the breath of life, as one of the native elders that I used to know said, as long as you have this breath of life, you're going to be okay. So let's keep paying attention. Don't let ourselves get out of our bodies into our heads to where we're just falling prey to scare stories and things like that. We are our own healers. We have this capability. We can just as again say Terrence McKenna like to say, sit down, shut up, and pay attention. Just like relax, breathe, let those thoughts go. I mean, if there's nothing, was it the Alcoholics Anonymous one, or the, what do they call it, the something prayer? I forget what it is. It goes something like, God, whatever or whatever, grant me the. I think I'm going to
No,
muddle this
it's
thing, but
about
it's
to recognize the things you can
yeah,
change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
yeah, it's the serenity prayer. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You said it. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So let's just settle down as much as possible and keep working with that. Yeah.
And anybody watching this, if there's anything you want to talk about, any topic matter, anything like that, reach out, send me a message. I'm happy to go live anytime. You can join me, and be happy to support in any which way we can.
Good. Well, thanks for doing all the work that you do there, Mark.
And thanks for doing the work you do too, Stephen. I'm got to be honest with you. Quite frankly, all things considered, I've been enjoying this. I
Hmm.
really have, in terms of getting things done and getting caught up. So
Yeah. Well.
I'm just on to the next thing. So I wish everybody that out there who might be watching. So God bless.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right.
All right. Take care, my
Cheers.
friend.
Yeah.
See ya.